Hey everybody, welcome to Do You Believe on Paranormal Zone TV. Thanks everyone so much for being here tonight. Now tonight's my last show for the month, but I will return on December 5th with a new show. Anyway, so I'll talk about that after the show. But tonight I'm so excited. We have Heidi Hollis with us tonight. And everybody, please give well wishes to Heidi. She's actually calling us from the hospital. They admitted her today. She's ill. They're checking her out and to see what's wrong with her. And she is a good sport, and she's here with us tonight. So everyone, let's welcome Heidi to the show. Heidi, honey, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, no, it's all good. I mean, it's been a crazy couple of months for myself. It's like in and out of the hospital, and now I've got some kind of virus I'm trying to figure out, but I'm alive. I'm in one piece. It's all good. You know, it was Halloween recently, so I had so many radio shows lined up. I was just doing them from the hospital bed, left and right. So I'm like, what's another one? This will take my mind off from things.
Oh, thank you so much. Anyway, Holly, before we start the show, would you please tell the viewers a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure. I always tell everybody I am someone who has been there, seen that, experienced it, freaked out, researched it, found some answers, wrote about it, got over it, and now I'm trying to help other people do the same thing. I'm the person who named the Shadow People phenomenon and the Hat Man phenomenon. I have books also on Jesus Encounters, called Jesus No Joke, Angel Encounter that taught a different way of praying as the angels do, as a angel encounter detailed called Picture Prayers. I am also a cartoonist, so I have a new book series called The Fickle Finders, kind of looking into all the topics that I do, kind of a wimpy kid-esque type book. And if you go to theotherfword.com or ficklefinders.com, you'll see that book series there. And the first book in that series did so well, and I heard so much back from adults, especially enjoying the book, though that one was intended for tweens and whatnot. Everybody seemed to enjoy it, so I decided to do an adult version of that book. It's not for fickle finders, but it's called The Other F Word, essentially getting people to find a level of their faith that they're comfortable with, because when you deal with the paranormal as I do, and I mean outright, downright evil, low down, good for nothing stuff, I mean, I tell people, if you don't have some faith behind you, you might as well throw a shoe at what you're seeing, because you're not going to be able to get very far until you do that. So I thought it was important that I delved into that topic. So The Other F Word is coming out soon. Go to theotherfword.com to find out about that. And but what I'm more known for are, of course, alien encounters, alien abductions, shadow people, and the Hat Man. So, but you know, I really, truly enjoy the most. I host a radio show called The Outlander, and I enjoy the most getting people's emails from all over the world, from people who have experienced anything and everything out of the ordinary, and taking their emails and or their calls and addressing what it is they've experienced or have comments and questions about. So I invite all your listeners and viewers as well to write me at dusoutlander@gmail.com, DASOutlander@gmail.com. And I do get to all my emails eventually, so, and just have people tune in and listen to their response. So.
And of course tonight...
I'm never bored.
I know. And of course tonight our topic is Hat Man and Shadow People.
Yes.
So with that, why don't we start the show? What is Shadow People? What are they?
Oh, Shadow. Shadow people are something that I came at from the perspective of someone who was leaning into the alien abduction and alien contact phenomenon, and I had been essentially invaded by a group of gray beings one occasion. I don't think I'm an abductee. I don't think I've been abducted. And soon after these beings bombarded me in my apartment, I got inundated with this shadowy presence. So I looked at the shadow people phenomenon as something being alien more than essentially paranormal, like in the ghost sense. So shadow people are a black, dense form that could take on any shape or size. And I didn't know what it was I was experiencing. I didn't know what it was I was looking at. No one was talking about this stuff. This started happening to me. Probably the first time that I'd seen one of them was in 1990, and then I really got bombarded by them in about 95, and they take on any form. I started categorizing them, calling them shadow cats, shadow clouds, shadow spiders, and head and shoulder shadow, which is the very first one that I saw. And if you get a real good look at them, if you're super unfortunate, you'll see that they have glowing red eyes. Head and shoulder shadow are essentially the form that they really truly take on, which looks kind of like a bulky man with no neck, with his head directly connected to his shoulder, and no discernible feet or legs, and just kind of this rounded bulk of a thing that floats around. And one of their favorite pastime things to do is jump on a people's chest and choke them. They like to instill fear. People will generally see them from the corner of their vision. But then, if you're really unfortunate, once again, you see something in the corner of your eye and you look and it's still there, that's a shadow people. They don't like to be spotted. Versus the Hat Man, he really seems to enjoy
it. Now, is the Hat Man a form of a shadow person? What is the difference between the two of them?
Well, I had made a mistake when I first presented the topic of the Hat Man to the world. I thought that he was another form that shadow people took, and I essentially call him the Hat Man Shadow. And but see, I had not seen him before. I had not experienced him. A lot of the stuff that I'd experienced went in conjunction with my college roommate, and she experienced the Hat Man. And the way that our apartment was so slammed by these shadowy presences, and the way that she described this thing, I assumed that it was another form that these shadowy things were taking. So called it the Hat Man Shadow, but he is not a shadow person.
Oh, he isn't?
He is not, no.
Oh, really? Oh, no kid. I had read that he was another form of a shadow person.
I have been trying to correct that since I first put it out there. I went on several shows in the beginning saying, yes, it's another form that shadow people take. And as the emails and stories were told to me over the years, I was super reluctant to be forthcoming on what it was revealing what he was and what he was doing and how very real he was. So I didn't want to address him. I did not. Every time I leaned towards the topic of him, horrible things would happen to people close to me. They would start experiencing things, and literally, like, they knew it was associated with something I was doing. And I'd get these quotes, family and friends. Heidi, what are you looking into? Could you please stop it? I can't sleep. And I was like, oh no. And it was such a higher tier of terror and horror that he represents that, people could see shadow people, and they're like, oh, that was some scary stuff, wow, they really terrorized me.
Yeah.
Oh, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Now, a person could get a glimpse of the Hat Man when they were 5 years old and be terrified for the rest of their lives in fear that he will ever show up again. They have such a horror and terror, it sticks with them for life. And it blows my mind, the emails that I get, people saying, I saw him when I was 4, and I pray every night he never comes back. I can't sleep without the lights on. And they're just like, what do I do? Is he going to come back? I'm 45 now. I'm like, what? It's been 40 41 years, and you know, he is a different level, and I feel sorry for people who have experienced him, and I feel sorry for people who have experienced shadow people, but it's a whole other ballgame when you have repeated encounters with the Hat-Man. So it's truly a phenomenon to beware.
Oh my God. Heidi, what age group mostly sees the Hat-Man?
Oh, that's an interesting question. You know, I am finding it doesn't matter the age of the person. It seems like he'll come at any time. However, I am getting a lot of people who have seen him when they were quite young. I mean, 3, 4, 5 years old. And, you know, and they're adults now writing me. I've had little kids write me as well, you know, and I'm like, ooh, do your parents know? You know, yeah, but it does seem like if he's going to be a bother to a person, he will introduce himself quite young to the person. Other times, later in life, doesn't seem to matter, you know, the age of the person. Doesn't matter the location. I've got emails from all over the world, from Korea to Sweden. People are experiencing him. And I tell people it's an absolute epidemic that people need to beware. They truly do. I can't even tell you the amount of anger I feel towards the topic of him and what he does and how he infiltrates and destroys a person. So lots needs to be paid attention to this topic because he's paying attention to you.
Oh my God. Now, all right, so the Hat-Man seems like to introduce himself to kids or to people at a younger age. But now shadow people as seen by any age group.
Oh, shadow people, they are opportunistic about anything and everything. I think they like to hang out in amusement parks or something. I don't know. They are, you know, there's a thing that'll follow you from place to place. You know, a person can live in a haunted house. Okay, there's ghosts there, whatnot. But there seems to always be an underlying shadow people presence in an overly haunted place. Almost to seem to be the controller of souls in a location. So, but the shadow people, if they're a predominant force in a location and you pick up and move, you just make them along with you. I mean, he'll pack his suitcase as well. So it's kind of one of those things where, you know, people need to be aware if you got a problem with those, you need to shake it loose before you think that you could go and relocate and be okay. However, there are places where, you know, there is a portal opened and they are hanging around it. So it may not follow you, but chances are they may, once they've got your number, they may actually follow along.
Oh gosh, Heidi. So once a shadow person connects with you, they continue on? It's just not a one-time deal?
I would not say that necessarily, but it does seem that they don't just dig at a person one time. They seem to really like to get at a person. And it's interesting to me, you know, people are like, well, I saw a shadowy thing once, you know, in my house. I'm like, oh, if you saw it once in your home, more than likely there's a presence there of them that could reappear at any time. And even if the person is not seeing them physically, they may start having nightmares. And they're like, gosh, what on earth is going on? And they'll have this depression, there's something looming, and people are arguing in the house, and there's static, and they don't know what it is. And these things are very spiteful. They like to incite riots, essentially, in people in their lives and in their minds. So if they can't get out in expressive ways as showing up in your home physically, they may try to work their way from the inside out, you know. So they'll try to break you down, break your sleep down, so you're weaker and you can't respond as easily. But I tell people, though, it's like, you know, I know it's a horrific thing to see these rotten, low-down good-for-nothings. I've dealt with them for years, didn't know what I was dealing with, and I wrote my first book while I was in college because I nobody had anything out there on these things. I'm like, what are these things? I'm just like, I'm gonna call them shadow people. I don't know. Wrote that book in '97, and but I want to tell people, if you're feeling, slammed by these things and like there's no way out, there's a way out. I was fully harassed by these things for years, and I speak on these things from a place of great confidence in knowing that I can hold my own, but I don't do it alone. That's why I think faith is very important to people. To be able to stand up against these things, you've got to have the light, the opposing force, against these things. So it's very important that people realize their full human potential, because if these things could take you down outright, but why aren't they stopping you in traffic and saying, hey, I want to have a talk with you, I want to tell you I'm going to take over right now? No, they don't. They generally sneak around like a thief in the night. They come into you at your dreams, and they do all these odd little swipes to try to break you down, because they're cowardice, for one. And they're as strong as we allow them to be. So there is a big difference between them and us. And that is, they have the upper hand in knowing the more spiritual side of things. And we tend to be very physical in our way of being and thinking, and thinking that, wow, this thing can go through walls, it's pretty powerful, and, I can paralyze when they come around, they've got me, so we do need to re-educate ourselves about our souls, our potential, and God, just to be plain and simple and honest about it. It's like, people, when I bring that up oftentimes, I'm Christian, I'm not ashamed to say it. Jesus is my best friend, and saved me so many times, and I was skeptic of him, so I'll get into that a little bit. But when people hear me talk that way, they're like, oh, Bible thumper. Don't want to hear that. I don't have any religion. I'm like, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about common sense, that where did you come from and where did this planet come from, and perfect balance. We have got to, get back to our roots and understanding there's a darkness here that's placing their bets on us, that we do not figure them out as they take us out one at a time. People hear about, the revelations, angels versus demons, and it's going to be in the clouds for all to see. And when I'm like, already here, they're already here speaking in the middle of the night, taking out our comrades without us even acknowledging that it's going on. So something needs to be done, and I'm hoping to raise the flag to the awareness that this needs to be done sooner than later, and just keep it real already. Let's not put definitions to religious. Let's put definitions to, hey, I've got ammunition to fight this, and it's called God and light on my side, and let's just do this.
Heidi, there has to be different forms of shadow people, because so I've seen a shadow person, but it wasn't in my home. It was at a haunted location. And I know other paranormal investigators like Dave Spinks. He has also seen shadow people, but I've never seen another shadow person again. I've only seen it once. I don't know how many times Dave's have seen it, and I've never seen it in my home. So if I saw this shadow person out in a haunted location, would they also come to my home and visit me sometime?
There's a possibility, but it's less likely in that kind of scenario. But if you keep poking the stick in the eye of a monster, the monster might be able to catch your scent downwind one time and be like, hey, that's where she lives, go get her. So I caution.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Really?
I caution people against, looking into these topics, because if you're not prepared to take on a demonic entity, which is kind of what they are, it's really something to behold. I'll tell you, I think I might have shared this story. I first saw my first shadow person following a friend of mine, and I've mentioned it to her, and the darn thing confronted me. I mean, it came to kill me. I knew it did. It was huge. And the feeling of, I've never felt my life was threatened before until this thing came hulking over me. You would describe that kind of fear. And little did I know, and this is something I haven't talked a whole lot on, but little did I know that it sounds like you're sick over there.
Oh, I apologize. I'm still getting over a cough. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Heidi.
I'm
I'm sorry.
All good. I'm like, hey, we're both sick. All right. Bring around the hospital food for you.
Go ahead, Heidi.
But it's like it's almost like the shadow people can be like a contagion. So I saw this thing, and I thought, wow, that was a horrible thing, But I did not make the connection for the longest time. I soon after that started waking up with nightmares of seeing these huge shadowy spiders in my bedroom. And I'm talking about me getting up in the middle of the night looking for a broom to kill them, or a shoe, whatever. And I'm talking about things that took up the whole ceiling of my bedroom.
Oh my God.
But I didn't connect that these were one and the same thing. I just thought, wow, I am really going through something right about now. I don't know what it is. Did not make the connection for the longest time. And I'm like, oh my goodness, they were bugging me the whole while. I thought, I saw them the one time following my friend, and then a few years later, suddenly I'm confronted with them again after seeing these gray alien beings. Well, lo and behold, I've been having those dreams of these big shadowy spiders, and sometimes just little bitty spiders or octopus-like tentacle-looking things, and I did not connect it. But then I started realizing they're one and the same. They're just taking on different shapes, and
oh my God.
Well, they're some nasty buggers. So.
Oh my God. Now you said shadow people are they related to a demon and to aliens as well?
Yes, they are.
They are?
They are. Oh yeah, yeah. It's a strange thing to say. So again, I came at this topic as someone who was interested and experienced seeing UFOs, had my apartment invaded by about 9 gray alien beings. Soon after I joined a UFO and alien discussion group. Now I joined this group because I'd seen some pretty incredible looking UFOs, and I'm talking about just massive ones. And these other people in the group were alien abductees, and I was just fascinated, like, ooh, tell me more. What's going on, And then after joining that group, I got visited by a black helicopter that looked like it was going to land on my house. It was really crazy. And I'm like, wow, I heard about these things, and there it is, And then soon after that, I saw 9 gray beings in my apartment, and I lived alone at the time. And then, essentially the next day, these shadowy things, head and shoulder shadow. You can go to my main website. You'll see what I'm talking about, HeidiHollis.com. Go to the gallery for shadow people, and the head and shoulder shadow are what I started seeing again. And I'm like, what is going on here? So it was something else to realize that, well, I didn't realize at the time, I should say, that they were connected to the grays I had just seen essentially the night before. Sometime later, moved into the apartment across the hall from where I was and got a roommate. And this was a Pentecostal, overly religious roommate. And I'm like, oh boy. I told her, the Pentecostal ones that don't cut their hair and wear skirts forever, and really religious, and I was so not. I was kind of anti-religion at the time because I'd experienced a lot of paranormal and odd things, and I'm like, I literally put in my first book, The Secret War, which is the first book written on shadow people, if Jesus were around, I think I would have seen him by now, because I literally felt I'd seen enough. If he was here, I'm going to see him. So I had to rewrite that chapter and change my point of view because I did see him. And that's my book, Jesus is No Joke. So, but again, so I got this roommate, super religious. Don't talk to me about your crazy alien stuff. Don't believe in that stuff. Okay, whatever, And lo and behold, she had a very powerful alien encounter that changed her. And suddenly she became like a conduit to communicating with an alien entity that shared a lot of information that's in the book, The Secret War book, on what it was I was experiencing with these shadowy beings. I mean, I had no idea that they had anything to do with aliens. But now, it's funny, it's like these are things that were told to me so long ago, 96 essentially. And I was like, and to now, all the emails and the different things and the research I've found over these years, it points to the aliens being related to the shadow people very directly, and to many people who have experienced seeing grays and seeing shadow people right alongside of them. And myself, this is crazy. I got very keen to the presence of any odd thing, and I woke up because I felt the presence of something in my room. Woke up, I saw, spiders drop down from the ceiling, with their legs spread out, and I'm like, oh my God, here comes another big one, and I'm like, I woke up and I shouted at it essentially, for it to get away, and this thing went and it retracted and pulled its legs in, and it formed the face of a gray alien being. Saw it clear as day, and I'm like, I saw you. I saw you. I saw you. I saw you. I saw what you just did. And just amazing. But shadow people I found to be, a lot of people wonder, there's a lot of speculation about the different alien beings. What are they doing here? How are they connected? And shadow people, I learned to be kind of a connecting force between and among a lot of negative alien beings out there. And I mean, 99.9% of the aliens that you hear of going out there abducting and experimenting on people are negative. I mean, I get these people that say, not my grays. My grays are nice. They teach me things. And I'm like, they're totally, conditioning you to get used to the abuse. Anybody hear of, what's that syndrome? Stockholm syndrome. And I hate to make people feel bad for what it is they believe to be true for themselves. And I don't try to bash people. But it's become clearer and clearer that this is what they've been doing. There's a hybrid program. They're making something that's part of them and part of us that could live upon the earth and be controlled by them. I mean, it's really a scary process. And, there are positive beings out there, but they're the ones that are very much like the conservationists. It's just like if you want a habitat to survive, you don't mess with it. So they don't put their fingers in the mess of things, but they're dropping hints and warnings about the beings that are visiting here. And that's the being that my college roommate got in contact with, and the type of being, and who warned us about what was happening and how people needed to be prepared and to learn to defend themselves. Because, like a thief in the night, these beings are truly abusing people at every level and every twist and turn. And I detailed a lot of that in the Secret War book on, what it is that's going on and how to defend yourself in the face of these beings.
So then, shadow people were never human then? At one time they were never human?
No.
Okay.
These are not. No, they are not. They're not from here.
Okay. Oh, God. So then so they're the typical description of what a shadow person does. Most of the time they jump on top of a person, and somebody did tell me that they get close to the person, or they're on their chest, and they try to get them to stop breathing. Would it ever come to the point where they would actually kill? Can they actually kill somebody?
Well, these things can kill, and I believe they have, definitely. But it's not just so much as, that's all that they do. They feed off from fear. They feed off from negativity. It's kind of like the thrill junkie, an adrenaline junkie that's like, wow, that's cool, but they also, when you condition someone or something to fear you, even like a pet, they learn to follow your lead with just a wave of your finger, like, do this, feel that way. A lot of people know that notion of a devil sitting on one shoulder or angel on the other, and it's like, where did that notion come from? It's up to you on what whisper you're going to listen to in your ear. And if these things can condition you to respond in the way that they want, through fear or whatever it is, they really got the upper hand. They're like the early explorers of, Columbus, who wanted the land, who wanted the control, they wanted the power. And it seems like such a stupid thing to want, but gosh, mankind's done it for all of history. Why wouldn't other beings do that? Just because they're more advanced? I mean, they're kind of primitive in the way that I look at them.
Is there any connection to ghosts, these shadow people?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that for the most part, any place that you go to that's haunted, you will see a shadowy presence. Mm-hmm. If you're unfortunate enough, there is always a shadow being that is kind of at the core of a good haunting. So you will see them.
But they're not a ghost.
In the beginning, oh my gosh, I had so much static with ghost hunters who would tell me, these are just the shadows of ghosts that you're talking about. You don't know what you're speaking of. This is from Babylon 5. They were called the shadows. I'm like, what? Whatever. I'm just like, I didn't know how to keep describing to people what it was I was seeing, so I just used the name of shadow people and just threw it out there. And lo and behold, others have used that word at times too. And so I used to get a lot of people just not getting what I was trying to speak on, and ghost hunters who would say that to me about there's shadows of ghosts. I'm like, well, just, I understand, but wait till you meet one and you'll realize it's no ghost. And then I would get some responses back, and they're like, wow, I met one finally, and that was no ghost. No. So, but they do tend to linger around the souls of dead people. So.
Oh, they do. Why do you think, Heidi, that these shadow people, I've heard several stories from people about them being visited by the shadow person, and one of them said that this shadow, he was in one of his cabins, and he was sleeping, and he woke up. He was paralyzed. He couldn't move, and this black thing was on top of him, trying to choke him. But then it got off of him, and I don't know what happened, why this shadow person, I can't remember why the shadow person got off of him, and he did see him leave off into the distance. He went in toward the kitchen of the cabin, and there happened to be, I guess, a nightlight on or something, and he saw it. He said it was a big, huge black mass. And then another one, a relative of mine, in a cabin again, up in the country by himself, and he was paralyzed. He couldn't even talk. And he saw this black thing in the room with him. But this black thing didn't do anything to him. It was standing over him, but it didn't do anything. Why don't they have the same MO all the time?
Sometimes it's interesting to me that you gotta look at the MO of the similarities first off with them and aliens. What do aliens do? They paralyze you, and then they get the upper hand. It's just so funny. They have the same power of doing that. It's crazy. But with the shadow beings, some of them are trying to figure a person out. What's their weakness? What is it that could get them to a point of fear that they desire, what they're looking for? Maybe with just a glance is all that person needed to see them to have the same kind of illicit response as the other one did to being choked, you know. I think it's probably one of the most helpless feelings is to be pinned down and lose your breath under the pressure of something. I mean, it's gut-wrenching from those that have experienced it. They know what I'm talking about. It's a hopeless, helpless kind of feeling. So, yeah, they explore their options and whatever it is that they're looking for in that person. You know, maybe they've visited them before and they got to know them to an extent to know what it is that bothers them versus another person that's, you know, they're bothered by the glance of seeing them. So it's interesting. But again, they'll come in your dreams. It doesn't seem to matter. They have to be closest to individuals. But one of their favorite pastime things is, you know, they do love to choke people. I mean, what a horrific thing to get used to.
Then if somebody ever actually did die from one of these shadow people, no one's ever really going to know.
Well, you know, I've gotten lots of stories of people who say they were choked out and they left their body by these things. And they were met by these things in like a out-of-body experience. So, yeah, and luckily, and it's so odd, they feel rescued and put back in their body. So, and oftentimes that rescue comes in the form of what looks like an angel, a light, Jesus even, you know. So it's interesting. You know, there's a battle going on, people. It's happening now. It's not going to be in the clouds as portrayed in a great painting. It's going on now, and you know, people need to. I have, you know, when I'm not feeling so awful, I have a big sense of humor when it comes to any of these topics, but I keep it very serious on, you know, how detrimental it is that we take these topics, because the people are losing their lives, they're losing their souls, they're losing their minds, and they're losing their families, their relationships, their friends. I mean, and all under the guise of that couldn't happen, you know, being laughed at. And, you know, it's like I try my best to portray these topics as a regular person, you know, not as a guru or a psychic or anything, because I know how to clear a room when I want to. You know, my goal is to get people to be curious enough to learn more, to ask questions. And so I'll, you know, keep it casual. And I think it's to the advantage of people to do the same, because I have another website, paranormalpledge.com. I invite people to, you know, raise their right hand and swear they'll tell at least one other person what it is they're experiencing. You know, so this doesn't seem like such a strange or odd topic. That so we can start relating, you know, the tactics of this enemy that's looking at us in the middle of the night, figuring us out as we laugh at the person who tells us about it. That just can't go on anymore, because 9 times out of 10, I'm very confident at some point they will experience the hat man or the shadow person, shadow people at some point in their lifetime, and they better know what to do, or it's going to dig its claws in quite deeply, and you won't like being laughed at for it.
God. You know, has any of these shadow people ever tried to communicate verbally?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there have been some. They're not very chatty. Hatman? Oh, he's chatty. And, I'm going to just say it, he's a bastard. I can't stand him. Can't stand him. He's horrible. The things that he says and does. He is utter evil. Utter evil. And the shadow people like to growl. They like to threaten you. They like to say, I'm going to kill you. Get out now. You know, that type of thing. They're that guttural voice that you don't want to hear on your EVP. They're that voice, they're that presence that other ghosts will say on your EVPs, here he comes. You know, it's here. That's the shadow people. So they're the thing that they fear, the ghosts fear.
Heidi,
so,
when somebody hears a growl on their digital voice recorder, that could be a shadow person?
Oh, it sure can be, because that's what they like to do.
Oh, wow, I
Yeah.
never heard that before.
I mean, there are the hellhounds that also look like a shadowy presence, you know. So yeah, they do. They growl. They growl.
Oh, hellhounds, those are the dogs?
Yes, I've seen shadow cats. I have not seen the shadow dogs. Shadow rodents I've heard of too. I don't know if I shared the story of the shadow cat I experienced. I had so many of them at one point, it was driving me up a wall. And this one time, I had my sister's cat for a while, and it was an all-black cat. And a very quiet cat. I never heard this cat meow for anything. I came home one day. His name was Pyramid. I came home one day, and he was meowing like crazy. And I'm like, oh, no, something's wrong with him, you know. And I'm like, you know, calling for him, and he's underneath my futon couch in the living room. So I got on all fours, and I'm bending down. I see him. I'm like, Pyramid, come here. You know, what's wrong? And he's meowing like crazy. I see his little white teeth lighting up with meowing, you know. I'm like, Pyramid, oh no, come here, what's wrong? And I'm like, my hand is within inches of him. And I felt something brush up behind me. And I turned my head, and, you know, I'm calling Pyramid. So behind me is my quiet black cat who brushed up behind me like you called. And I looked at him like, what am I looking at underneath the futon then? I turn my attention back to this thing, and I get chills every time I tell the story. This thing pronounced meow. It was not my cat. I can't even tell you. I just remember feeling absolutely terrified, grabbing my black kitty from behind me, and backing out of that apartment, just speechless, like I had no words. I was just terrified. My hand was within, you know, like in the movies. You don't know it's the monster you're about to touch, and your hand's an inch from it. It was horrible. It was horrible.
That's horrible.
So, yeah, they are tricksters.
I want to ask you a question. I was at a gathering at a friend's apartment. There was a bunch of us girls together. There was about 6 of us, and we were having coffee and dessert, and 2 of us were sitting off to the side on a table, and it was just us 2 that heard it. We heard this growling, and it was over by Debbie and I. And we looked at each other, and I said, my God, did you hear that? And she said, yes. But nobody else heard it. But Debbie and I were the only 2 that heard this growling in this apartment, and there was no dogs around or no animals. What could that be?
That could have been one of them, or a hellhound, for sure. But I'm leaning towards the topic of hellhounds being kind of like a shadow dog even, but yeah, it could have been a shadow person, definitely.
So then they just show up whenever, or did they come because of a certain person, or is there a reason for them to be there?
Well, if you're a ghost hunting group that likes to release ghosts and they like to harbor ghosts, they're not going to like you, so they may come growling your way. No, I'm the only used to be ghost hunter. No one else was in that group. Gotcha. Yeah, they don't like people coming around though. They don't like people being curious. Now, like I mentioned, shadow people generally don't like to be spotted. They'll take off running, or they'll attack you, one or the other. But sometimes they do stand there. If you're paralyzed, they'll stand there and let you get a good look at them. But Batman, he doesn't give a crap what you think or what you're looking at. And he wants to be recognized for, you know, the guy that he is. He is, you know, if you want to be recognized, you're going to wear the same outfit. You're going to have the same MO. You're going to have the same presence. I mean, he wants to let people know I show up all over the world at the blink of an eye at any time I want.
And you're talking about the Hat Man.
I am speaking of the Hat Man, and I have a book out on him called The Hat Man. true story of evil encounters, talking about how I first discovered him and sharing about 50 stories in there of some pretty darn incredible encounters with the Hat Man. And I think it's probably one of the more important topics that should be discussed on a worldwide basis, to be honest with you, because he's showing up in droves. I mean, he is on the prowl, on the attack, and I can't keep up. I cannot keep up with his appearance. I just can't. It's too much, and people need to be made aware and prepared for him showing up, because it's not a promise. It's a threat that he's coming. It's a threat.
Yeah, a viewer's confused. It's Griffin. Griffin says, is a shadow person a ghost? Heidi. Person.
Shadow people are not ghosts. Shadow people are a dark mass, dark energy. Darkness is darkness. Evil is evil. Put a title on whatever. Evil aliens, evil shadow people. You know, they're all kind of in cahoots with each other, but again, there's no honor among thieves, so they don't work well together either. But no, they're a darkness. They're a dark force. If you want to call it demonic, if you want to call it an evil alien presence, I mean, it's one and the same. It's not here for our benefit. So they are not ghosts. Ghosts are dead people. You know, so these things are never people at all.
And the Hat Man, does he repeat his returns? Is he repetitive?
Oh, yes, he can be repetitive for a lifetime. I truly do fear for people who have seen him, especially those that have seen him when they're young, because he seems to leave an impression upon them that he'll return, and they fear that day their entire lives. And I still, on a weekly basis, get emails from people saying, OMG, I thought I was the only one who's experienced this man. I mean, how do people come up with a man in a black suit, a three-piece suit, who either wears a cape or a trench coat?
No. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Heidi, I've got to ask you a question.
Yeah?
Oh, my God. Oh, no, go ahead. Finish what you were saying. I just freaked out. Go ahead.
He wears different hats, usually a gaucho hat, a top hat. It could be a derby hat, cowboy hat. He does change hats, but his cape and trench coat does alternate. He is very, very black, shadowy, but people see him also very, very three-dimensional, very solid. He could be clean-shaven, or he has a goatee, but I usually hear clean-shaven. If you see his eyes, they're solid black, or they glow red is the more common thread of what he looks like. And, wow, you do not want him to ever speak to you. You don't want him to smile. It's something you'll never forget, and you will forever fear.
Heidi, I have to ask you a question.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
One night, the only person in the house was my daughter with me. And I was coming from the back part of the house going toward the kitchen. And when I looked straight ahead, you know, it's normal. You're walking out of a room, you look straight ahead. And I was looking into the other room. And standing in the doorway was this huge black thing. And he almost touched the ceiling. And, you know, I couldn't see his face. And, you know, I'm honestly, I can't remember if he had a hat on or not, but he had a cape. And he had, wait a minute, honey, he had a cape. And he had those, you know what it looked like? A Sherlock Holmes cape.
Yep.
But I couldn't see his face. And we connected. I mean, I looked at him and I know it looked at me. And then when we connected, all of a sudden, Heidi, he turned around. I've told this story before. He turned around, I swear to God, in slow motion. And I saw his shoulder things flapping in the air, but it was like he was friggin' floating. and he in slow motion in the air floating, and he went around the back part of my house, and I guess he went out the window or door or something. He disappeared. What the heck was that?
Oh boy, yeah, that is the Hat Man. I'm so sorry.
Oh no! Oh, what the hell was he
Him.
doing in my house? What was he doing here?
Yeah, I tell people it's a threat. He's coming at some point in people's lives. He's making the rounds. I'm sorry, it's sad to say, but and he's not little. He is.
He's
if you
huge.
checked out my book, he's 7 feet tall and up. He's tall, very tall. He crouches down to get into rooms oftentimes. He's a big guy.
Oh my God. Heidi, do you think because I saw the shadow person on the USS Hornet that he came into another form at my house?
Shadow people and the Hat Man are totally different. They are related. They are good friends.
Oh, they're friends. Did they give the message to each other? Go visit this one?
You know, he's very aware of everybody. Let's put it that way. He's aware of your interests. He's aware of your weakness.
Oh.
How long ago was this that you saw him?
Oh gosh, must have been 5 years ago, 6 years ago, but I've never seen him since.
How long between you seeing the shadow person and seeing him?
Oh gosh, I don't know. It was when I had a team, a paranormal team, and that's when I was paranormal investigating on the Hornet. Oh gosh, it's been a while. It's been a while, honey, since I've done paranormal investigating. But I saw the shadow guy on the haunted USS Hornet.
Gotcha. Well, I don't think necessarily it's because he saw the shadow person that he came around. Hat Man is doing the rounds to anybody and everybody, and a lot of people feel like, well, gosh, if I saw him, I must be screwed, spiritually. Something, I must not have my act together. And I'm like, you know what? It's not necessarily he's attracted to your darkness. It could be. And only you know that. I always tell people, if you like to pet a dog or kick it. So, if what's dark in you, what needs to be corrected. But there's also those who are very bright light to educate others. And he hates you to the core of you. And he may come to try to stomp out that light, to try to get you to look the other way in the paranormal world, or get you to not follow your true path. And but I tell people, if he's coming around a lot, I am very concerned more towards the side that there's something he likes about you. And he may be, sitting there trying to coerce you to go his way. It's interesting because the encounters with Jesus are on the rise as well. It's almost as if they're showing up to those on the side of their fence, evil versus good. But again, Hat Man, he can be pretty patient in wearing a person down if you're a bright light that he wants to take out.
And he also communicates verbally, you said.
Oh, he's not shy. He's not shy. If he has something to say to you, he's going to let you know.
Okay, what does he say? What would be a typical thing that he would say to somebody?
Well, he's not typical in what he likes to tell people.
Oh, it's always different?
There is something there is something that he likes to let people know. I'm going to get you. He likes to say that. This one guy, I've had several people. He likes to swear. This guy, he's seen the Hat Man most of his life, and being threatened by him constantly, just like, with his presence alone. Well, more recently, this guy, so he's been dealing with him forever. He's gotten used to him. But recently, Hat Man picked him up. He's very physical, and threw him on the bed and said, "I'm going to effing kill you soon." So, yeah, he has a lot to say sometimes. A lot to say. Yeah, and he's probably one of the more interesting and creative things I heard of him doing. And this gentleman wrote me, and he's like, I don't even know where to begin. He's like, I was in my basement, and poof, this man shows up in the hat man shows up, and he points to my basement wall. He said, I look at my basement wall, and it becomes like a movie screen. And there's a storm, and there's a boat in the middle of the water, and on the stormy sea of some sort, and this boat is there, and there's a man standing on the boat. And as the storm gets worse, the boat starts to go down, and the man that's standing on the boat just stands there and lets himself sink with the boat under the waves. And then the hat man drew my attention to him and goes, such a man would do this for me. And poof, he disappeared.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, he's after people, and people should know that. There's no way of keeping it fluffy and sweet. He's after your soul. He wants you. And, yeah, people should be terrified at the thought, but also have confidence in the thought that there's a more powerful force out there. And I tell people, this is why I think the other F word, faith, is highly important in this time. He's stepping up his game. I don't know what is going on, but it's truly coming to a peak. And people should have their interest peaked to look to fighting this thing. I tell people, you have to have no doubt in your faith. And when I'm in the presence of these things, I just have to say one name, and that's Jesus. Oh. And they listen. They pay attention to that name, and they do leave. And there's been many, many, many who have told me over the years in the face of abducting aliens, shadow people, hat man, whatever it is, and saying that name, and these things turning and leaving with quickness, or even having an angelic-like presence coming and throwing them out physically. So that's power.
If suppose there's somebody that, there are people who are atheists that don't believe in God, and this thing or these shadow people, hat men, come and visit them. Do you have to have a belief in God in order to try and get rid of these things if they come back?
Yes, you do. I'm not going to say, oh, sure, you can go ahead and try it. No, you do. And I've had, it's funny, it's like I've had many people say, oh, I've had this big problem, the hat man's coming at me, da-da-da-da, and I write them back, or I answer their email on my show, and they'll write me back, and I'm like, wow, that just sounds awful, have you tried this, and that, and they're like, well, I don't believe in God, I'm an atheist. I'm like, well, then there's your problem. Well, you were just easy picking because you surely didn't have a do not disturb sign on the door. He loves atheists. So I think it's almost 100% guarantee he'll come at them at some point. That's something people need to get over. You're looking at something that is the epitome of darkness. Okay? Evidence is right in front of your face that things of the other world exist. And you're going to go, but the other good side can't exist. Well, you've got a problem because I don't see how you don't get that. Because these things are so hoping you keep that attitude, and they'll get their way. There's people who are alien abductees who have had near-death experiences.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, on the other side, the end of their tunnel are aliens. You didn't get rid of the problem while you're alive, and it just goes up a notch after you pass. So you would think they're infiltrating on areas that they have no business infiltrating, but you didn't stop them. You kind of allowed them. It's like with knowledge comes responsibility. You know they're there. You know it's a problem. So know that you can get rid of them too. Find your angle, find your faith in God, not a statue, not anything else, and the name of Jesus is recognized apparently universally. The alien being that I and my college roommate oddly got into contact with told me I didn't pray enough.
Oh,
And
really?
what is going on here? You know, if I had any doubts about what it was that my college roommate was having, speaking through her, this thing showed itself on a couple occasions and knew what I was thinking before I spoke. And to know how Pentecostal she was, and still does not speak publicly, never has, about what it was that she experienced, and still doesn't. Just left the whole topic alone. Feels that she did her duty and given the information for my book, The Secret War. And yeah, I mean, it's something to be told that you don't look to your faith or God enough, because this evil is hoping that you don't. And I had to go full circle. I was raised in a Christian home and church and all, but I just thought, you know, Jesus was a historical figure more than anything, and truly skeptical of people who claim to have seen him. You know, I'm like, come on now, in your bowl of soup, really? I mean, come on. I had to eat those words, because just before I put out the Secret War book, I saw him, and I have since seen him 5 times, and I wrote my book, Jesus is No Joke, to, you know, just keep it real and keep it honest, because if I can serve as any example of someone who is so wrong about how real Jesus is, and how real his presence is, and how aware he is about the rotten things going on in this world, you know, I think anybody could come around. And I feel like cheated in my faith, because I got these experiences I did. I got healed of of at least 2 major catastrophes in my life as far as my health is concerned, and then some, because of him showing up. So it's like, you know, I have no doubts in my faith, because I got that. And I don't think I could speak out on these topics the way that I do without having experienced him and having the faith I now have, thanks to him showing up. So I don't blame people for having their weaknesses in their faith, because I prayed every night, but it was rehearsed, you know, and it was like, oh, God bless that person over there, and like, amen, good night. You know, I had to chop that off and communicate, not pray, communicate with God at all times of day. I'm going, what more can I do so people can wake up? Because, wow, we have got to pull it together, people. I don't know how much more to stress that. It's very important, and I think 99.9% of my day, I think of, there's got to be something else I could try. And I'm sitting here in a hospital bed, trying to do my best even, and, you know, I had a 20-day hospital stay just a few days ago, and I'm back here now, and I'm like, you know what, nothing's going to stop me. I don't really care. These dark forces try their best, but God's greater.
Gosh, you know, I was holding on to a question, and then I moved and I lost it. We've got a question. We've got several questions. Oh, in the chat room.
Go for it. We got a half hour, right?
No. Gosh, I can't find it now. I moved my cursor and I lost the. Okay, here it is from Emma. Could the people he visits be chosen ones that he takes to another dimension?
Which one? The Hat Man?
I'm thinking the Hat Man, because this was a recent question.
Are they chosen ones? Well, they're not special. So if he takes you to the other side, you better scream for Jesus ASAP. I've heard, I've had not a whole lot of people that have said, oh, I consider the Hat Man being my guardian angel because he shows up and he watches me. And like, that's like a perv beyond a perv. I mean, he looks in people's windows and he stares at them while they sleep, and they just feel like, I don't know what he's doing, but I guess he's there to protect me. And, he scared me one time, but now I think I'm okay. He's not there to protect you. He's not a guardian angel. Does not have your best interests. And, no matter what he says or what he's doing one time versus 10, it's nothing to feel special about. Even with alien abductions, nothing to feel special about. Those beings are using you. Hat Man is gearing up for all battles, the battle of all battles, let's put it that way. And, just an ugly thing.
Oh, now another question is there more than one Hat Man?
I get that question a lot. I believe that from what it's appearing to be, even Hat Man will show up in a crowd of a bunch of shadow people. There'll be a lot of shadow people, and there's one Hat Man. There's one central man. There's one Jesus. It seems like there's one Hat Man. He could take on different outfits to an extent, but his presence seems to be kind of consistent with being the same guy. I have heard of people saying, "Oh, I experienced more than one Hat Man." Yeah, but that's when they describe the second one. He's kind of short and ugly, and then there's the big, tall Hat Man next to him. So he's got little minions that work with him. He does. He's got a few that show up next to him, but it does seem that there's a central Hat Man.
Really?
But, I always say I'm learning. I'll never say I'm somebody that has all the answers, because that would mean, eagles got me by the roots, and I'm not going to do that. But, we'll see.
Well, see. Heidi, I kind of, okay, so the Hat Man, is he alien as well? Is he alien,
the
demonic?
Hat Man, the Hat Man is coming off at times to be somewhat alien related. I do have a couple of stories in my book called The Hat Man, kind of having a link showing up. And it's really bizarre one. It's really bizarre. So, again, it's like to say he lives, underground in the pits of hell, it's just as far-fetched to say off on another planet, isn't it? That's why I lump evil into one category. He's evil. So most of the aliens that come here are evil, but there are good ones, very few, not your Greys, or your reptilians. So, evil is evil. To say where he comes from, who really gives a crap? All I know is we got to stick our ethereal foot in his backside and kick him out of here. He's up to no good, and my God, people, we got to pull it together.
All right, with the shadow people, then let's go back a little bit to the shadow people. How long have they been around? How long have these shadow people been around? When was the first?
I think they've been spoken of from biblical times. I think they're that dark thing that's being referenced there, that evil presence, that shape-shifting devil. I think they are them. I think they are the shape-shifting demonic entities that can take on a lot of different elements that fool people. Like my shadow cat. I mean, wow, that took the cake. I'm like, these things will stop at nothing. If they could fool you, they'll try it. So, to say, and I have to tell people too. It's like a lot of times we're just so human and wanting to define everything. And Jesus had a wife. And, who cares? What did he do? What did he aim to do? And what are these things doing? And deal with that, deal with what they're presenting with now. We can't always put a ruler to what it is that's before us. We've got to be able to close our eyes and know what's before us and deal with it then. I think that we get stopped and stalled and trying to analyze something, overanalyze something, when there's remedies all around us. And we need to focus on the remedies more than what cookie-cutter form can we put these rotten creatures in?
and I just want to make this clear. So shadow people, they're not hallucinations. No. I heard that with the night terrors and whatnot. It's like, wow, we're all hallucinating the same stuff. We're all drinking the same Kool-Aid, I guess. I think, come on. It just blows my mind how, again, science getting in the way where it has no business getting in the way of. It's people need to trust their gut instinct on this and know and know themselves. I mean, we do know ourselves. It blows my mind when I see these shows or I get these stories. It's like people say, "Thought my eyes were playing tricks on me." I'm like, hold on, those sneaky, tricky eyes, the same ones you trust to drive back and forth to work every day, suddenly they just put a trick on you, huh? Wow, that's just something else. I don't know my eyes playing tricks on anybody or anything, but
Well, when it comes to the paranormal, must be our problem. No. Come on. We know ourselves. We know what our eyes are seeing. And, to heck with what scientists are saying. They can't figure out what started the first shock to our heart rhythm, for crying out loud. It's called God. They can't figure God out, so I don't believe everything they have to say.
All right, then with the shadow person, how would somebody get rid of a shadow person, or can you get rid of them?
You get rid of shadow people, you get rid of aliens, you get rid of the Hat Man. And, again, it goes back to the other F word, faith. It's having no doubts. Now, I don't tell people to charge these things, charge at them. I tell people to stand their ground and with a prayer rolling, if you're being faced with something and you're paralyzed right then, and try to get that name out of Jesus, in Jesus' name, leave. That's the basis of backing these things out immediately at the time. But when it comes to, if you're in a place that's just slammed with shadow people or negative things going on, you need to clear it out yourself with a prayer through that house, a blessing through that house, and it's now coming to my understanding that sometimes these things are so out of control that they do need some backup. They do need, other people in there to help push these things away. So those of the church who have, certain recognized ritualistic types of manners of pushing possessed people, they have big problems trying to get rid of these things. So if it's just in the home, I feel confident in people blessing the home themselves. Don't hide behind the cloth of your pastor going around your house. Do it yourself. That's your home. And have no doubt in it. God gave you the authority to be able to maintain your home and maintain your body. Take that authority and have Jesus on your side when you're blessing it. Say in His name that house is protected.
Heidi, so I really, so you're saying that, like the shadow people or the Hat Man, they'll come to you, and it could be anybody. It doesn't have to be a certain person. They come to you to try and destroy you. Their mission is essentially conquer and divide. So, if you're a good, strong family person, they're going to try to isolate you. They try to take you down one at a time. It seems like such a simple, barbaric, caveman thing to do, that they want to have the power over a person or a place, but they do. And they want the land. They want this planet. They want the people that are on the planet. They want the whole thing. They want what's God's. They want, it's just like people who want to have the big house on the hill. These things want you. They want to possess you. They want to take charge. There's other dimensions at work that I don't understand. I don't think anybody will fully understand. So, what is the full ultimate goal? I don't think anybody could claim to know 100% what that is. But, if we follow our ancient text, like the Bible, it says, there's going to be a power struggle between good and evil, which I think has been going on for a long time. I think that it's coming to a culmination now. But there are so many. On Earth, there's humans that are good, and there are us that are bad ones. And there's many people that believe in God. They're good family people. They go to church all the time. They go to prayer meetings, and they do all of that. And many of those have never seen a shadow person or been visited by any of those kind of entities. Why would that be? Why? Because I'm sure the ones that contact you, how many times have they been contacted by or seen the Hat Man or the shadow people? What kind of people are they? Do you know anything about their background as to why they're seeing this all the time? It's interesting to me. It's like,
get tickled at the common sentence that I see in a lot of these emails are like, I don't do drugs, I don't have mental illness. You know, they tell me all these things, and I'm like, it's so common that they try to let me know I'm a regular person, you know? And I'm like, yes, I understand, you know. It does not seem to matter to an extent on how often or these beings will come. I mean, I know people that have essentially, you know, been from outward appearance a good church-going Christian or whatever, and they're being slammed by these negative things, you know. And it's like, well, why would that happen? It's like, well, yeah, why would that happen? You know, and I think that people do have a hint about why it is, you know, why are these things taking special interest, you know. And I can find out through certain questions sometimes, you know, and you know what do they do in their pastime? You know, are they volunteers for Habitat Humanity? You know, if it's like, you know, oh my gosh, you're a really bright light. They really hate your guts. They want to stomp out that light. Or, you know, are you somebody who, you know, goes to church on Sundays and beats your wife on Mondays? You know, well, let me put a finger on that. You know, it's you know, people got to be honest with themselves about it. And I don't think anybody can judge really directly. I shouldn't say I could judge outright. But, you know, sometimes, you know, you get a feel for, you know, what it is that's going on. But I don't understand, you know, in the church, in the Christian church, you know, it's taught that, you know, there's a age of innocence, like under the age of 12 or something. Kids are innocent and protected by God. But a lot of these kids are being visited by the Hat Man. There are a ton of them. And I'm like, well, what is going on here? There are rules being broken. And I don't understand it. And I've had people write me, I'd say, you know, going back like 50 years seems to be the average people that may have got their first, the earliest reports of the Hat Man showing up to these people. I can't say I've had a 70-year-old write me to say I saw the Hat Man when I was 5. But yeah, I've had some, you know, 50-something-year-olds write me to say that. So something's going on. I don't know. The increase of these occurrences are getting astronomical, and I don't get it. I just don't get it. But I just know that, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, I had my book, The Hat Man. I was about to put it out, and again, I had never seen him. I still have not seen him. He's come and shown himself to my college roommate, but people have seen him behind me. They've seen him in the rearview mirror while I'm sitting in the car with him. Oh. He's around. Oh yeah, he's a rotten good for nothing thing. And I was about to put the book out when he came into my bedroom for the first time, and I'm like, wow, here he is, Mr. Hat Man. Hate my guts, hate his guts. And I was like, what is he gonna do? And curiosity killed the cat type of thing for me, because I'm like, never allowed him to come close to me. Never. And he stood outside the foyer in my bedroom. And I was thinking, should I just get rid of him now? I'm like, no, I want to see what he's going to do. And I allowed him, in my mind, I allowed him to take that step into my room because I was curious. But I wouldn't look at him. I would not look at him because I'm human like anybody else to an extent. You know, and you see something like that, you will give them a respectful amount of fear from you because it just happened. And I wasn't going to give him that. So I didn't look at him. I heard him step into my room. I felt his presence. I recognized his presence. I knew who it was. And he walked around to the side of my bed and waited. And I'm like, I'm not going to look at you, but I know you're here. He sat on the side of my bed. I'm like, OMG, like, really? Like, I'm having this mental conversation, like, with him to say, no, I'm not going to look at you. What are you going to do? And then, Noreen, I kid you not, he stretched out over the bottom of my bed, and I could feel him prop his head up on his elbow, waiting.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, oh, really? I'm not going to have a whole night of this? Like, never mind. And I went to get rid of him, to say the name of Jesus, you know? And I realized I could not speak. And it was like I had a mouthful of peanut butter. But I tell you, I got the name out just really hard, and poof, he was gone. I sat up, and I'm like, really? Really? He came. Now, interesting enough, he came another time just before that book came out. I'm a practicing occupational therapist, and he came and showed himself 15 minutes after talking about him to another therapist and patient. So it was just madness, but it's interesting to know how close he is, how listening he is. But now get this, I published my book, and maybe 2 weeks after publishing my book, I don't know if you heard of the Slender Man case with the two 12-year-old girls attacked their 12-year-old friend in Wisconsin, trying to stab her to death. They stabbed her like 19 times, but she survived. And they said the Slender Man told them to do it.
Yes.
That one of the girls had a dream that this tall man in a black suit told her to kill her best friend. And she's 12 years old. Now, Hat Man loves to do this. I'm thinking that little girl may have Googled online, man in a black suit, and, this Slender Man, the fictional character, came up, and she's like, yeah, that's who it was. I'm thinking it was probably the Hat Man. Now, this attack by these 12-year-olds happened 2 weeks after I published my book, about a 10-minute drive from where I grew up in Wisconsin.
Oh, my God.
So it's like, was that a message? He showed up, twice just before publishing the book on him. I've never seen him after all these years of talking about him. And then he does this, and then he strikes by my home. I'm like, really?
Heidi, that's weird.
Very, truly crazy.
Oh, yeah. But have you seen the Hat Man since?
No.
Just that one time?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Just that one time?
I didn't look at him. I wouldn't look at him the whole time that he came into my bedroom. The time that he came at my job, that was mind blowing. Okay, I'll tell you, this is crazy. So, and I put this in the Hat Man book too. I just added it at the end before I published it. So I work at different health facilities, and went to this place, and I get whispers from other therapists like, oh, you're that therapist that writes on the paranormal, and I'm like, yeah, and it's like, and so these two therapists are asking me in regards to the topic of what it is I write on, and I must have spoke for about 15, 20 minutes on some of the stuff I cover, and Catman was one of them. And so one of the therapists had to leave for the evening. I was finishing up my paperwork, and the other therapist had to grab a patient yet, a physical therapist, to walk a patient in the parallel bars that's surrounded by mirrors so he could try to walk. So brought the patient down to do this, and this is only 15 minutes after talking about the Hat Man when the therapist screamed for me to come into the next room. I go out there, and is talking, pointing at the mirror, saying, "Who is that man in that black suit trying to speak to me in another language?" Pointing at the mirror, and I'm like, "Sir, what do you mean?" And he's like, "The man right there. Don't act like you don't see him." And then I leaned over and I said, "Sir, does he have a hat on?" He said, "Yes, he has a hat on, because I know you could see him now for sure, because you knew he had a hat on." I'm like, I couldn't see a thing. Neither could the other therapist. And wow, Hatman was, and he said, "Now he's standing behind you." I'm like, great. The other therapist screamed. I'm like, well, he's around me once again. I just got done talking about him. It was really freaky to know he was so close that he heard me speaking about him, that he showed up to this patient. Really, really horrific. And the story goes on and took more things into the next day even. So it's really something. So I invite people to check out the Hatman book to learn more about him, what his weaknesses are, and some of his tactics that he does.
So for the viewers then, what advice or can you give to the viewers about Hatman and the shadow people? And what is the most important for people to know about both of these entities?
Again, I revert to, and it's something that people need to reinvent for themselves, is their faith in God, Jesus, because their opposing force is looking their way. They are looking their way. It seems like a crazy ploy. It's like, go get my book. But, I really try to put my best foot forward in getting people and kids to look towards their faith. So go to theotherfword.com. Soon I'm planning to put out the book, The Other F Word, and I have a Fickle Finder book for kids that looks into the other F word. And Jesus is No Joke is my other book, and Picture Prayers is my other book that both point towards getting a person to get right with their faith and understanding it. And I write very much how I speak, so I have a lot of humor in all my books, even the Hat Man book. I mean, the Secret War book, I put humor in all my books because, again, I want people to not be terrified. I want them to learn. I want them to get this stuff and to grow and feel okay and comfortable that it's not the end. I don't care how many times that rotten Hat Man has shown up or shadow people have shown up. You can stop it. Aliens, you could stop it. And there's hope, and I really hate when people say, nope, no hope, you're screwed. And it's like, no. That's not what, that's not a God that I know that would allow such a thing to keep going if you don't reach out for help. So I tell people, please make the effort. You're an atheist, okay, you saw the devil. What you going to do about it? You better find your faith just a wee bit, and you got to keep your foot where it is, planted to say, I'm still going to not believe in anything. Well, they believe in you. So try to make an effort because it's very important that you do. So I would also tell people, get right with your prayers, your communication with God. I mean, the picture prayer book I have is, I had an encounter with an angelic being that taught me how angels pray. And it was something, I always hated praying because it was so boring. I'd fall asleep before I finished them. So I always wish there was a better way to do it. And now I don't take time for prayer because prayer takes no time at all. Because I communicate all day long. There's no place I don't allow God to look into because I'm just an open book now. So I also write about that in the Jesus is No Joke book. So, I just invite people to, give a look at one of the books. Get your library to get the book, and then you take it on loan. You don't have to buy it. Or I have, made the books as cheap as I could on Amazon as ebook for, I think my most expensive is $7.77. $7.77. That's the Hat Man book.
Yeah.
And the rest are like $5, $3 for the Fickle Finder book. And adults even could enjoy that. So I just, I hope people give themselves a chance to survive this because there's a lot coming at us every day, all the time. And now you've got something from another dimension looking to eat your soul, essentially. So please perk up and don't let titles and definitions stop you. Like, oh, that would mean I'm religious if I look into that. No, it just shows that you got common sense because you want to save your butt. How about that?
I'm going to show the viewers again your two books, The Secret War and The Hat Man, and they can get these books where on Amazon, Heidi?
Yes, The Secret War. I took it out of print. I have it only as the ebook version right now. I honestly thought people were done reading the book, and then it just has taken off. Again, it's just ongoing. It outsells all my other books, The Secret War. So the ebook version is available on Amazon only currently. All my other books are available anywhere books are sold. I will definitely put The Secret War back into print as soon as I possibly can. I'm working on so many projects. I have like 4 other books written, and I have a new book on shadow people that'll be coming out soon, and so much. And another comic book series, well, not comic book, but a graphic novel series. But my main website, HeidiHollis.com, has all my information. So HeidiHollis.com, and write me at dustoutlander@gmail.com. any comments, questions, I'm an open book. I think it's good to be that way.
Why are you writing another Shadow People book?
I wanted something that was just pure Shadow People, because the Secret War goes, it begins with the encounters and things that I had with alien beings and what was going on with that and how it related to Shadow People. But I wanted to have a Shadow People book that really delved into the topic and what I've learned since discovering them, and again, keeping it real, keeping it on the level with everybody, so they get this stuff. I just actually got that book sold recently. While I was stuck in the hospital a couple of weeks ago, I get a book deal offer for that book, and I'm like, well, yay.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so I was like, well, that cheered me up. This conversation has cheered me up too, being stuck here, so it's all good. I'm like, I'm not going to miss this show with Noreen. I got to get on there.
So then the new book then that's coming out will have more information about Shadow People?
Yes, it will, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Do you want to come back next year and talk about that?
Of course.
And give more information?
Yes. Oh, yes. I'll have other projects going by that time. And I tell you, Noreen, it's been interesting. A lot of people who are really interested in these topics, and Hollywood is too. I have talked to so many potential TV show people. Over the years there's been trickles, but they're just like reaching for, hey, let's do this, hey, let's do that. So I'm like, I'm happy to be some kind of instrument to try to put the word out on these topics, and so things are going to pick up a level, it seems, pretty soon. Hopefully, I'll be able to help even more, for people to get this stuff. So fingers crossed that one of these projects coming my way works, and I still will always be doing the 3 radio shows I do, the Outlander on Fridays, and the Kevin Cook Show on Tuesdays I co-host on, and Paranormal Central I also give reports on. So I keep busy, but, I always tell people if I could do this in my sleep, I would. I just love it. I love helping, shining a light in the dark, Fun.
Heidi, thank you so much for coming on my show tonight. And everybody, please send positive thoughts to Heidi in your prayers. She is in the hospital, and that's where she's calling from. They've admitted her to the hospital to do tests on her to see what's going on. And so we wish you well. Get well soon, Heidi.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'll be just fine. I'm a survivor. I got a lot more things to do. I just have had some crazy luck lately. But thank you so much for having me on the show. I wouldn't miss it for anything. So it was awesome.
Oh, Heidi. And then I'll contact you to come back next year with your new book.
Oh, of course. Oh, yeah.
Oh, honey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fun.
Good night.
Good night.
Wow. Hey, everybody, thanks so much. And Heidi, everybody, please send her well wishes and a speedy recovery. And thanks so much, everyone, for being here tonight. You know what? She's in the hospital, so she isn't seeing the internet. Hey, Dave, Dave, you want to call me? Can I talk to you for a minute on the phone? Let me see if I can get a hold of Dave. Hold on, everybody. Let me see if I can get Dave. Oh, there he is. I don't know if he'll answer. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Let's see if Dave will pick up. Hey.
Oh.
Hey, you there?
Yeah.
Hey, say hi to everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody, thanks again so much for being here. I have Dave Spinks on the phone. Look, On Dave is coming on the show. Let's see, what day is that, Dave? Dave. Yeah. Dave's coming back on the show on December 10th. Now on December 3rd. Now this is the last show for the month of November, and I come back again on December 3rd with Andrea Perrin. She has something to tell everybody, and she has also just finished a book with George Lopez, and they're both going to come on the show and share their information to us. So that's on December 3rd, and Dave Spinks is going to come on the show again with me on December 10th with Phil Cercosa and Carissa Fleck, and we're going to talk about the portal to hell, the chronic. What is that? The house is what? The Chronicles? House of the Chronicles. What is that? The Horsefly Chronicles. Yes, and they're going to give us an update, and right after, and we're going to have some more evidence to show, provided by Dave. To show the viewers, but immediately after my show on December 10th, Dave, what are you going to do, Dave?
I will release that full video of all that evidence that we, last investigation we did there. It's pretty crazy stuff.
Yeah. So don't forget, Dave will be joining me on December 10th.
I know he's going to be showing some really cool creepy clips of that investigation on her show that night.
Right, and that's going to be provided by Dave, but Dave will also be on Skype with Phil and with Carissa, and I'm really looking forward to that because it's going to be a crazy show. So everybody, and thank you to the mods, Dave Spinks, Royce, and Trent for modding for me tonight. I hope you really enjoyed the show. I had done a show previously on Shadow People, and but now I've done one on my own channel, so I was really happy to have Heidi back. What?
It was a good show.
Oh, did you like it?
Oh yeah, they're very.
Oh, you know, I forgot to tell everybody. Do you know if you Google oh God, if you Google in Wikipedia Shadow People, guess what? Heidi is on that page. If you Google if you do Wikipedia shadow person, Heidi Hollis is on the front page of Wikipedia. She published her first book on the topic of shadow people in April of 2002. And she has been a constant guest on Coast to Coast. They just love her. And they love hearing about...
She's one of the world's foremost experts on shadow people and the Hat Man and all that.
Yeah.
So, she's a very good guest to have on.
Oh, yeah. So I will have Heidi back next year and hear... and have her talk about her new book on shadow people and what else she has to say.
I've had some pretty interesting experiences with shadow people myself.
I know. That's why I asked her that question, because I know you have. And have you ever seen
Apparently you got the Hat Man in your house.
Thanks, Dave. Oh, hell, I know. I didn't know it was a shadow person. I ask people that all the time, and they don't know. They've never told me it was a Hat Man.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh, hey, Nori, can you tell me about my upcoming live shows this week real quick?
Well, Dave, you're on the phone. They can hear you.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if I was still live.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, guys, Monday, Tuesday, and hopefully Wednesday, I will be at 2 locations in Ohio for 3 nights, and I'm going to do some live streaming for you guys. So stop by and check it out if you want and you have time. I'd like to see you guys in the live chat. 2 really awesome locations, the Farnham Manor House and the Stagecoach Inn.
Oh, yeah. Anybody who is watching and they're not in the chat, Dave Spinks is one of the top foremost paranormal investigators, and he's the real deal. He is the best paranormal investigator and the most professional I have ever seen on camera. And if you haven't seen any of his videos, please visit his YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel, Dave?
CRP TV or Country Roads Paranormal TV on YouTube.
Yes, he is absolutely awesome, and he goes to some of the best locations that nobody else has been to. You ought to put up a playlist of investigations you've done that nobody's been to, Dave, because you've been to some of those.
Oh yeah, that's the ones I look for, you know, the ones that are not commercial, not so much commercial, even though I do the commercial ones, but, you know, that's the ones I really look for, those little hidden gems, so.
Yeah. What's the deal, Noreen? Edward, what do you mean, what's the deal? And anybody, please give my show a like. I'd appreciate it. Also, if you want show reminders, I sent out 100 of them. I now have 100 on the list. It's Paranormal Zone. Oh, you have to go to my website. It's paranormalzone.tv, and then you just go to the contact, and you sign up, and you'll get a show reminder. I'm glad you liked the show. Thanks, everyone, for being here. I have done a show on the Black Eyed Kids with David Weatherly, and David Weatherly is coming to the show in the new year. He'll be on. I might even do another separate show, an update on the Black Eyed Kids and his new book. He's got 2 new books, a Bigfoot. And what was the other one? The Unseen.
The Strange Intruders.
Yeah.
Was his latest. Now he's got a new Bigfoot book. I think it's in print, getting printed right now as we speak. It should be out anytime.
Yes. Yeah, so he is coming back, and I could probably have him on a couple of times. I got some good shows lined up for next year. But anyway, so I only have 2 shows for December as well. I'm going to be enjoying the holidays for a change. And so let me do some shout-outs. Janet W., Spooky Raven, Anna D's, F. Warrior, Griffin Corcoran, Butterfly Kisses, Felicius, Maximus, Royce Hinman, My Mod, Thank You, Indecent Angel, Edward Reyes, Chipper Terry, Indecent Angel, Putty Tat, Meow Meow. Anybody else want to shout out? Oh, also Lisa Knox, Cheryl Collinson, Tina Nichols, and Jonathan Nichols. A Unique Annie, Sweet Annie, Margarita Harvath, Kathy Salento, Debbie Gale, Debbie B, Lily Tooby, C Black. Anybody else want to shout out? Cheryl K. Montalbano, Rose Casto, Alexandra Violet, Tiffany Twisted. Well, I love you guys too. Maria Amador, Spooky Raven, my old buddy, Spooky Raven and Putty Tat, we go way back. Janice Bolt, Red Panda, Rebecca Cath Chats Me, Rebecca at Chat Me, Nora Miles, anybody else? Ginger Simmons, oh Ginger, you were hiding. Anybody else want to shout out? We had a huge crowd. We had 90 people tonight. Thanks so much, everybody. Carl White. Anybody else? Rebecca Whitehurst. Anybody? Oh, yes. Oh, God, that's right, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. Renee Bates. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, a wonderful holiday. Be safe. Stay healthy. There's a terrible virus going around. Dave, do you want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving?
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and I hope to see you on my upcoming live shows. I have a lot of stuff coming up for you guys. So.
Deborah Sosby, Jessa Scouting. Well, there was 90 people tonight, so Ashley Jones.
Awesome.
Anybody else before we leave? Okay, so don't forget, I'll be back. I'll send out reminders. If you want, Actually, I think YouTube also sends out reminders when a show goes live, doesn't it, Dave?
Yeah, it posts it and says live now.
Yeah. Anita Ackerman. So if you want to sign up and I'll send you out. Oh, Scary Larry. Yes, it was cold in here tonight, so I can start wearing these again. Thanks, Scary Larry. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. Again, happy Thanksgiving. Don't forget to go check out Dave's YouTube channel. If you want to see how paranormal investigating is done in the correct manner and in the professional manner, go to Dave Spink's channel, okay? So I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. Dave, say goodnight.
Night, guys. See you soon.
Good night, everybody. Don't forget to check Dave Spinks out. Love you guys. Have a wonderful holiday. See you December 5th. Good night, everyone. Thank you.